Thank you for the two speakers. And now, Zsuzsa, the floor is yours for your final remarks. Thanks again. You were saying?
Yeah. I won't be very long because it was a very long and busy and intensive day, and it's impossible anyway to make a nice conclusion. I thought still it makes sense to create a little bit of a link between even the very first of V4 Europe meeting, which we organized in last May. Actually, it was even March when we had another event, which is in this framework, where we also discussing with lawyers and economists more directly what should be done in the future of Europe in the context of populism, and this is the meeting that we are going to continue tomorrow. But we had 3 seminars, 3 workshops like this in the last half a year, and we went through a logic where we started about discussing what kind of threat we are facing in Europe from the Central European perspective. So what are the threats and worries of Europe, what we perceive in this part of the European Union as a threat. Then, obviously, very quickly, we reached the problem of populism and new authoritarianism. The environment, the political environment we live in, some of our countries know pretty obviously. And then we've discussed in depth the roots of populism on this region, which reflected this morning very well in Irene's presentation. We had already a similar kind of discussion with a slightly different outcome, which can resonate with each other very well. Then we discussed the concept or the existence of populist foreign policy in more in-depth, and this was debated whether this existed or not. And I think this is an issue that we came back today because we couldn't come to an answer a couple of months ago. So this is obviously something what is important in the context of our discussions. Then we also identified a couple of key issues which are critically important in this region. Is obviously migration. So in our second workshop, we have discussed more in depth the problem of migration, which also came out obviously today, which we define more than just a policy issue. It's an identification, and obviously one of the cleavages which we identified as one of the key problems, and it's not without reason that we always come back again and again to the problem of migration, which is one of the issues that obviously differentiate us to some other countries, and which, as also we've discussed this today, sometimes a common identification for the Visegrad countries. Obviously, we went to financial questions. In your discussion specifically came out corruption several times, which is deeply directly linked to the economic economic nationalism. I'm sorry, I'm getting tired too. So also the whole protectionist idea, which comes very closely linked to anti-globalization on all these anti-establishment, anti-globalization movement, which are very present in this very country. And of course, you see this in a number of other countries, specifically in the region. Then we try to turn, just as today, previous occasions also, what should be done and who are the actors who should work and think about the future and how to counter all these very negative tendencies and processes that we have to live with. And when for the what question, we are there when what everyone else in Europe, and which Rosa talked about this morning. What are the root causes of the problems? Are they really European problems, or these are just wider trends, social terms, social political terms, in our life. And I think that today's discussions framed it very nicely, that we are not only talking about Europe. When we talk about Europe, we talk about democracy altogether, and the crisis of democracy, which just a bit of an even more burden on us to find and come out for some kind of step forward. Who should do what? That's obviously the next question. And then the who, you also could see during this discussion. So during our workshops, we brought together academics, politicians, activists, civil society, and journalists. We deeply believe that a strategic alliance should be built in order to think together on what to do, and then formalize this strategic cooperation and put it into an operational format. I believe we are far from that at the moment, and this initiative, Visegrad for Europe, is an attempt to do this and formulate these alliances, these new cooperations, which we do very often in Hungary. However, it was discussed that the civil society and politics is very distant and extremely careful with each other for various well understandable reasons, but still we do work together, like we work together with the Helsinki Committee, not necessarily publicly, but because of migration is a key issue for NGOs and is a key issue for politics. We discuss and try to build some kind of common narrative, and this is the main focus of this entire process, to produce a common narrative. So how do we do that? Well, the next step is we are at the end of this one-year process, and we went through these few workshops which were, I think, very, very rich in content, and we had very high level of intellectual and political willingness and human capital in this room, which I'm very thankful for all of you who came today and contributed. We will write a report of this report, such as we did in a previous report, and we will put them, and I'm looking at István, when this would be the case, not just on our website, but we are planning an open source portal, online portal, where we would collect all this knowledge that we produce and we collect from all of the participants. And obviously this is going to be a basis of a longer term plan. We try to create another space, a virtual place, to continue this discourse that we started offline when we came together with you. And I really hope that we will continue this series of common thinking. We will make, with the organizers of this workshop, namely the Hungarian Europe Society, a kind of evaluation in the next couple of weeks, and we'll have to come up to an idea for how to continue, in addition to the online portal, which is an important part of our program. And we will definitely keep you informed of every development, and we would like to keep in touch with you, and we will find all the forms and ways how to do that. So I'd like to thank you all again to come today, but hopefully many of you will return tomorrow when we will continue slightly different format. It's a bit more academic profile discussion with economists and lawyers on the future of the European Union. It's more institutional, more structural, but of course they also get into the similar points as we do, we politicians or we activists. So it will also be very, very interesting and very rich program. I hope you all have the program. And then I think that's the very same place, right? It's the very same place. We will start at 9 o'clock, so anyone who is interested to go on, then please come tomorrow. And have a very nice evening. Thank you for coming.